will be on hand as Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, and the Titans play host to the Buffalo Bills. Tennessee is playing well and leading the AFC South, but can they outscore Josh Allen and the Bills, who are on a 4-game winning streak? Join us to find out on Monday Night Football.
On Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
You're planning on remodeling your bathroom. You want something personal and unique, and you want only the best quality products, which is why you're planning on ordering your shower door from the custom craftsmen of City Glass. But why stop there? Why not have the same professionals custom cut the just right mirror for your bathroom as well? There's no need to settle for anything off the shelf when the City Glass craftsmen can cut and design the perfect mirror for your bathroom. Don't worry about special sizing. They can custom size your mirror just as they would your shower door. And what about a unique look? Not a problem. For example, they can frame your mirror or even cut it so that your vanity lights can fit in the mirror rather than having to mount a separate fixture above the mirror. Maybe you don't need a new mirror at all and can just have an existing one recut or refurbished. Yeah, they can do that too. So do this for yourself. When you're ready to choose a shower door from City Glass, choose a mirror as well. City Glass, quality glass products, a cut above the rest.
Papa, why can't we telegraph while riding a horse? Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph when blam, ran right into the side of the saloon. Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Broadcasting live from the Masters Heating and Cooling Studios. This is WKJG 1380 AM, 100.9 FM, Fort Wayne, Indiana. The Fan. This is an exclusive presentation of high school sports on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. This is the High School Coaches Show. Here's your host, Justin Kenny.
Welcome in, everyone, to the High School Coaches Show. It is the Week 9 edition. Final week of the regular season as we close out the season, at least the regular part of the season, as some big games coming up this week. Of course, none bigger, Snyder and Bishop Luers out at Luers Field coming up tomorrow night to decide the SAC. Carroll's also hoping to sneak in there and get some a share of that at least. And also will crown a champion in the ACAC as well tomorrow evening. Action-packed show as usual here on the Coaches Show. We're going to start it off with Brice Vance here in just a couple seconds. Then we're going to talk to Bellmont head coach Nick Hall. Bellmont gets a win last week, ending a 26-game losing streak. Coach Hall in his second year with the Braves. Alma mater, and it was a big game, big win for Bellmont going forward. First win in Coach Hall's career. We'll talk to Coach Hall. Later on in the show, we'll talk to head coach Mike Smith of the Woodlan Warriors. His team turning some heads in the ACAC after a couple years of struggles as they continue their march up in the ACAC standings. We'll see if they can keep it going the next couple weeks. They have a tough matchup, though, this week against Adams Central, but we'll talk some sectional matchups with Coach Smith as well. But we're going to start it off as we do each and every week here and talk with our friend, Mr. Brice Vance. Brice, how are you?
I'm dandy, Justin. How are you? Dandy?
Well, excellent. And I know you're on site. You're covering soccer. Hopefully it's not raining too hard on you. But a man that does not take a single day off, that is Mr. Brice Vance. Where is soccer tonight?
I'm at Mishawaka Marion. I'm enjoying some regional semifinal action.
Excellent. And you were out yesterday at where? Argos?
I was at Argos yesterday. So I ventured to the central part of the state back-to-back days.
Look at you. Dedication. Yeah. And usually I ask this at the end of the interview, but where are you headed tomorrow?
I am actually going to be in Kendallville tomorrow for East Noble Bellmont. But earlier in the day, I'm going to head down to Pendleton for some state tennis. So all over the state of Indiana.
Look at this guy. Week. And, you'll be welcomed back to Kendallville. It's been a couple weeks since you've been there.
Yeah, I haven't covered an East Noble game in a couple of weeks. I've heard some people miss me, and some people are like, thank goodness he hasn't been covering our games. But I'm still trying to figure out who those people are just so I can continue to anger them. Yeah,
if you're not angering people and you're in journalism, you're just not doing your job.
That's correct.
Yes. So, well, let's put a recap last week because you took in the Big School Division Championship, correct? Last week.
Yes.
It was a barn burner with Fairfield and Lakeland, but somebody had to win this dang division. Fairfield comes out on top, and by and large, they get Cherubusco at home tomorrow night, and that's kind of an interesting game in the NECC. All of a sudden, Fairfield's won 3 straight. They went to Garrett and got a win. They went to Lakeland and got a win. Are the Falcons back on track after having a superb season a year ago?
I think back on track is kind of a relative term. I mean, for where they were last year, I think in some regard, but to be, competitive, in their section, I think is going to be, it's going to be very difficult for them, even against East Side or Lures or even a team like Central Noble. So I think it's they're, back at the top of the division, I would say, which, we've talked all season long about the division, and it's just, it's been chaotic, but it hasn't been, overly impressive in one way or another. So they're back to where I think that they're going to be competitive in this big school division for I think maybe years to come.
And when we look at these small schools, well, let's talk Angola really quick. Because I felt like a couple years ago there was discussion that, man, Angola's going to turn into Leo in this division, or Leo in the ACAC, and they just dominated it. It was Homestead Carroll in the old NHC that they dominated. And the thought was, when 2017, 2018 happened, it was like, Angola is going to get much too big for this league. And here they are, 2-6 on the season, finished 1-3 in the big school division. I mean, was that a mirage? I mean, do we feel that, Angola maybe isn't that, sleeping giant that we all felt was emerging a couple years ago?
I think so. I don't want to say it was a mirage. I think they just had, 2 to 3, 2.5 really good classes come through there. And then just they weren't able to sustain that. And, that's what we talked about a little bit last week with the big school division, that, one team would have an up year for a year or two. Garrett had, 15 and then 16 when they went all the way to semi-state. And then, Fairfield had last year. And it kind of, it took them a while to get back to that point this year. But, a 1 to 2 year run. And West Noble had it a couple years ago. Where they had back-to-back really good seasons. So I think it's just, that's how the rotation of the NECC big division is you're just going to have a good year or two, and then you're going to either kind of be mediocre or you're going to fall off. And that's just kind of how it's been in this division for quite some time now. And it feels like as we get further and further away from 17 and 18 that it does feel more and more like a mirage, and then that they're not going to get back to that. But I'm not saying that they can't, but I don't know if the same buy-in is there, just because I think they were, bitten pretty bad by the injury bug with Tyler Call and Andre Tagliaferri. Those two guys would have definitely made differences on both sides of the ball, and they were, missed quite a few games and were hit and miss, and it's just, I don't know if they were ever really healthy and had the right personnel for this team to actually, achieve some success this season.
Brice, if I had to ask you, 10 teams in the Northeast Corner Conference, we take East Side. Well, no, we're going to include East Side because they're in the sectional with Bishop Lures. If you had to point to a team of this 10-team conference as had the best chance to win a sectional championship, who would it be?
I think it is East Side. And I know that they're going to be going up against an absolute giant in Bishop Lures, I think we all suspect that they'll get to the championship game. They'll win their first round matchup. They'll get past Central Noble, and then they'll get to that championship game with Lures. But if you're asking me after that, I would have to say it's probably Busco, but they get right off the bat with AC, and that's really tough. If they had maybe another week or two before they faced them, I would say that maybe they could, continue what they are doing and face some stiffer competition just because they've kind of run through their last 3 opponents here. and Fairfield will give them a challenge. I think Fairfield is good enough to challenge them on both sides of the ball. I think that Busco will have to slow down their triple option, rushing attack. And then I think, Fairfield's defense is pretty stout in certain areas. They were able to limit Lakeland on the ground, and I think that they could do that a little bit to Busco tomorrow. But I definitely think it's Eastside and Busco, both teams coming out of the small school division. I just don't see, for the big school division, that any of them really have a significant shot of coming out of the sectional as a sectional champion.
He is Brice Vance, KPC Media, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. And you mentioned one big showdown coming up to next week with Cherubusco and Adams Central. Another one is Leo East Noble, round 2. Of course, East Noble will host Bellmont tomorrow night. Leo will go to DeKalb. But everybody's got their eyes on Week 10 and round 2 between these two teams. With what East Noble has been able to do the last 2 weeks, come from behind victory at Columbia City and then dominated New Haven last week, do we feel that they're rounding back into form, a form that they need to be in for next week's showdown against Leo?
I think so. I think we saw what East Noble is capable of in that second half against Leo when they first played in Kendallville a few weeks ago. I think that is the team that East Noble wanted to be at the beginning of the season. I think it's the team that they are capable of being, and making possibly a deep run, because I was asked, earlier this week if either one of East Noble or Leo get out of the sectional, that can they make a deep run all the way down to Indianapolis? And I said, of course. I mean, I don't think the regional is very strong. I don't necessarily think maybe the semi-state is as strong as it has been with the Hobart team that's, was loaded with a bunch of seniors and juniors that were very talented a couple of years ago. I just don't think it's as strong up north. And I could be wrong. I could be mistaken, but I just don't feel that way as it has been the last couple of years with a team coming out of the region. So I think East Noble is definitely, I think, trending in the right direction. I think tomorrow, I don't know how much they're going to actually, put up against Bellmont. I wouldn't be, looking into that score too much, just because they, obviously can think that they're going to get past Bellmont pretty easily, and I think that they should. But we'll see how much they actually do rest. And same with Leo going up against DeKalb, because we think both of those teams should get past their opponents in Week 9 pretty easily.
It's always the hot button issue twice a year, 3 if you count girls basketball sectional draw, in terms of should it be seeded? Is it fine the way it is? We just mentioned a big game coming up tomorrow or next week that probably would be the sectional championship game in round 1. So where does Brice stand? Should the sectional draw in the state of Indiana be seeded, yes or no?
I think so. I think outside of the conference schedules, I know you can, besides that, you can make the argument of what does the regular season mean as far as the postseason. It doesn't mean anything. You could draw the sectional draw 5 years ago, and you just have the matchups for 5 straight years going every year. You would just, release them, just the couple weeks before like they do. But you could draw this thing out, 10 years in advance. Like, how are we going to know? I mean, it just doesn't make a difference to what we're going to see on the field in Week 10 and in Week 11 and 12. So I think it's outside of the conference play, and that is an important thing for a lot of, teams and a lot of programs that think they have a shot in their conference each year. But the teams that don't, I don't think it necessarily matters where they're drawn out. So I'm in favor of seeding it. I think we would get, hopefully the best matchups in the semifinals and finals. I think that's what we all want for championships. I think that instead of seeing it so early on with an East Noble or Leo, it just feels like the next couple of weeks, don't mean as much, but when they clearly do. So I'm in favor of seeing it, and I think that we can figure out a way. I just think people are just going to have to actually put their minds to it and actually do it, because I think they just haven't actually wanted to. I think that's the big deal right now. They don't want to do it.
Yeah, that kind of leads into my next question. How do you seed it? You can't really do win-loss records 43 with Monroe Central and South Adams. South Adams is number 1. Monroe Central is number 2. Even though Monroe Central beat South Adams, so you can find holes in Sagarin ratings. There's a complicated formula that makes the BCS look easy over in Ohio, where not everybody makes the playoffs, and you get points based on this tier system, and it's just convoluted and messy, and I don't know what you want to go down that road. So I guess the question is how do you fairly seed it? Because no real at least easy solution is entirely 100% accurate.
No, I know it's going to be difficult, but I think that there is possibly some formula that you could do that is, easy to explain to coaches and fans that would get them on board. And maybe that's just, the IHSA coming up and testing out a formula. I mean, testing out and just saying, like, here's what it would have been if we were to come out and can you get a lot of people to look at that and then agree on it? I just don't think, like you said, nobody wants to actually sit down and try to actually come up with a decent formula that would work for everybody, create the fairest matchups so that, they would, have 1 and 2 on the opposite side of the brackets. It's just, I don't think somebody or anybody in the IHSA want to do it. They think this is the way we've done it, so let's just keep doing it and just deal with the backlash or the hatred, just because what backlash besides us getting mad 3 times a year it does the IHSA actually face for this? Yeah, right.
To me, it's a bigger deal in basketball because at least with the draw, let's take example Leo and East Noble. They're still playing on a Friday night. Everybody plays on Fridays, In basketball, you could have the top 2 teams in the sectional play at Tuesday at 6 o'clock with nobody there. Right. I mean, I feel like it's a bigger issue in basketball than it is in football because we hear about waning attendance at basketball and, not, filled gyms yet. They're having arguably the top 2 teams play in sectionals here, there in the state based on the draw on a Tuesday night with 300 people there.
Yeah, and I think with basketball, you definitely have a larger sample size. You have more games. You have, more head-to-head competition with teams possibly in your sectional or, just outside of your region or what have you, instead of, where like the SAC plays, 9 conference games for football, and the NE8 plays 7s, and they only have 2 out-of-conference games, and sometimes you don't schedule the most difficult opponents, unlike, a team like East Noble who, plays a Plymouth or tries to find a Northwood or a Cathedral a few years ago where, teams like DeKalb, they play Angola and Garrett every single year. And those 2 teams have been down the last couple of years. So you're not really testing yourself. So we don't really know if you do beat those teams, how good quality those wins are. So I think definitely in basketball, it would be a lot easier to do, whereas football, you only have 9 games to go off of, or 7 games to go off of before you'd really do the draw.
Right, and you look at it SAC, which all they're playing is conference games, so it's going to be difficult to somehow seed and rank those. All right, buddy, we kept you way too long. I know you have to focus on the pitch, but appreciate you joining us, so we'll talk to you next Thursday.
Yeah, and I can't wait to have the same seating conversation a year from now.
Yes, yeah, but book it now. We'll talk about it.
All right.
See you, buddy.
See ya.
That was Brice Vance, KPC Media Group, joining us here as he does each and every Thursday here on the High School Coaches Show. Plenty to get to after the break. We're going to talk to Coach Mike Smith, Woodland Warriors. When we come back, also Bellmont coach Nick Hall, also on tap here in this hour. We're going to take a break. You are listening to the Week 9 edition of the High School Coaches Show here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
The Brockman Heating and Air Conditioning promise. On time, done right, or it's free. Brockman's your independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. That's over 60 years strong. Since 1957, serving homeowners in the Fort Wayne area. And Brockman's has the most experienced techs to help you decide if you should repair or replace your unit. 423-4331. Call your independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. Brockman's Heating and Air Conditioning. On time, done right, or it's free. 423-4331.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived in Philadelphia. Local time is 3:05 p.m. and the temperature is 67 degrees. At this time, you are now free to use your cellular devices.
You know that feeling when you get to turn your phone on after the plane lands? you can have that feeling every time you drive. Make sure your cell phone is stowed away whenever you are behind the wheel.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Courage. I learned it from my adoptive mom. Hold my hand.
You hold my hand. Learn about adopting a teen from foster care at adoptuskids.org. You can't imagine the reward. Brought to you by Adopt U.S. Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Dr. Gordon Christensen. When I became a dentist, I learned how quickly poor oral health can lead to other serious health problems. And for people without access to care, these problems can spiral very quickly. I wanted to help, so I joined Dental Lifeline Network. Right now, there's a wait list for patients in need in your community. I'm asking fellow dentists who will join me in seeing one patient per year.
To learn more, visit willyouseeone.org.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country. And tragically, more than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets. Anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
It doesn't take a brain surgeon to know ticks suck. But what you might not know is that they don't just suck blood way out in the woods. Those creepy little bugs can be anywhere, all year long. And I do mean little. They can be smaller than the head of a pin. But big trouble comes in these small, gross packages. Even a tiny tick can make you super sick. So what's the most important tip to avoid getting bit? Well, duh, pay attention. Remember, ticks can be just about anywhere outdoors. Then spray attention with an EPA-registered insect repellent. Wearing long socks and other protective clothing is a good idea too. When you come back inside, shower. And always remember, check for ticks everywhere. And if you do get a tick bite, don't panic. Tell an adult. And visit ticksuck.org to learn how to remove it properly. Ticks suck, but being outdoors shouldn't. Go to ticksuck.org for more information. Ticksuck.org.
So then I dropped some garlic and croutons on there, and the rest is salad history. I made the best salad ever, people, and now I'm making the best app. The Caesar Sportsbook app got live in-game betting, parlays, and Caesar rewards. Caesar salad ain't got nothing on my app. Nothing.
Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Download the Caesar Sportsbook app. Your app is ready, Emperor.
Now back to the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan at 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everyone. Week 9 edition of the High School Coaches Show. And as he does each and every week around 6:15, we're joined by Mr. John Graham. John's waving to the mic, as he does every Thursday as well. So glad to have Mr. Graham in here producing. And coming up later this evening, it'll be Tampa Bay and Philly. From Philly, Bucks Eagles. You can hear all the action here at 8 o'clock on 1380 The Fan. Tomorrow night, it will be the game of the night at Lewis Field. It will be Snyder and Bishop Luers, 7 o'clock kickoff. Bishop Luers looking to wrap up an undefeated regular season and win the Victory Bell. Snyder trying to crash the party. They can win the Victory Bell with a victory tomorrow night and a Carroll loss. If both Snyder and Carroll win tomorrow night, all three will share the Victory Bell three-way tie atop the SAC. So coming up tomorrow, join Brett Rump, Shannon Griffith, all the action. Kickoff at 7 o'clock from Lewis Field here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. Another game coming up tomorrow night. It's going to be at Monroe on the landing strip at Minnick Field. Woodlan Warriors at the Adams Central Flying Jets. Head coach of the Woodlan Warriors, is Coach Mike Smith. Joins us right now. Coach, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Not bad, Coach. And it's good talking to you. And let's do a season review. First time you've joined us all season, and you started with a rough, first 3-week schedule. Got on a run there in the middle, then had Culver and South Adams the last 2 weeks. It's been a season of streaks, so to speak, for you.
Yeah, it really has. Opening up with Leo is definitely difficult. However, we did a lot of good things in that game that gave me some good feelings going in to the following week. Obviously, I was disappointed with how we played with Central Noble, as well as Heritage, to be quite honest. But the Heritage game really kind of helped propel us into a 3-game winning streak because we corrected a lot of things. I think the kids saw, hey, we need to take coaching and do the things the coaches are talking about. And we did see some fruit of the labor there in the middle of the season. Culver's, it's a very odd game because they've always got just like one of their defensive linemen is signed to play lacrosse at Notre Dame. So, they've always got just dudes everywhere.
Yeah.
An odd game, week 7, I think it is. And then, South Adams last week, we just didn't play very well, and, they got us again, so hopefully next year we can get them.
Coach, let's start on the offensive side of the football, and you have probably one of the more underrated quarterbacks around in Jacob Snyder as a junior for you, and you have some really solid guys up front, not only blocking for Snyder, but opening some holes for that rushing game. It starts up front, it starts behind center, and it seems like you have pieces to build around. And, Snyder in particular, he's been a kid that has evolved from a sophomore as a second-team All-ACAC guy now into one of the more prolific passers in the conference.
Yeah, he has grown definitely exponentially. He does a great job taking coaching. And, I think we try to scheme up things that work, into his skill set, quick passing game. And as I've grown to trust him more and he's, played more, sometimes we give him a couple of different options that he can pick from pre-snap and post-snap, whether he's going to run the ball, throw the ball, or throw a couple of different concepts. I'm not asking him to make full field reads or anything, but they have one concept on one side, one concept on the other, and whichever one he likes best, he can go with. So, he can make a coach look smart. You know what I mean?
Coach, defensively, I think you have another, couple juniors that are pretty solid too, that maybe a lot of people haven't heard of, and Ethan Vardaman and Austin Snyder at defensive back and linebacker, respectively. That junior class altogether seems to be one of the more talented that has come through Woodlan in a little while.
Yeah, we definitely have a really good junior class. They're definitely growing. Ethan probably out this week. He's a little bit banged up, but he's definitely played very well. He's done a lot of good things for us. Oh gosh, I just had a brain fart there. I was trying to think of somebody else. But anyway,
Snyder and Vardaman, yeah.
Yeah, we actually have a couple of freshmen that are going to play tomorrow night with a few injuries, but they are really playing well. And Chase Tibbs and Carter Fleet. So there's another class for the future for you. So I think we've got pieces here and there, and the kids are drinking the Kool-Aid, so to speak. It's definitely going in the right direction. It's obviously not what I want it to be yet by any means, but I think the program is growing.
Yeah, Coach, now in your second year and had a single win last year on the road at Jay County. You're sitting at 3-5 right now, so taking positive step forward. Entering year 2, what was the goal? Are you on track? Because I always ask coaches, I guess, in year 1, year 2, when you lay out that 3, 4, 5-year plan, do you feel like you're where you want to be now in year 2?
Yes, we're on track. I think a couple of things could have gone a little bit better, but I think any coach who asks that's a loaded question. They're always like, I want to win every single game, be perfect all the time, but it's not realistic. I think rebuilding a program is a 5-6 year process. So having that patience as a head coach is really the key, because you got to keep everybody else, buying in. You can't get too frustrated, if you're not big time. So long-winded way of saying, yeah, I do think we're on track.
Coach Mike Smith, Woodlan Warriors, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. Look, Coach, you get Adams Central at Monroe tomorrow night. Quite the Week 9 matchup for you. What have you seen out of the Flying Jets? What do you guys need to be ready for?
Well, they're just darn good at what they do. They're darn good at what they do at every level. I remember watching our junior high kids play them Week 1 for whatever reason, and the kids at that level are very efficient running their offense. So they learn at a young age how to do it and do it well, and they just get bigger, stronger, faster as they're in the weight room. So it's the same stuff that they always do. It's counter, it's a lot of misdirection. If our kids read the keys, we can be okay. If we don't read the keys very well, they'll run the ball extremely effectively. Their defense, their kids are strong. They're very impressive with what they do. They don't do anything. They're not sloppy in any capacity. So you really have to be sharp in what they do, and that makes sense because they've blown everybody out and they're undefeated, and I'm sure they're going to make an extremely deep run in the 1A state playoff.
Coach, this is probably a better question for next week, but you had Culver Academy, South Adams last 2 weeks. You get Adams Central tomorrow night, and then you get Prairie Heights in a rematch game from Sectional 35 a year ago, the opener when you guys lost 18-8. Is it going to help in terms of having to turn the page on this game tomorrow, win or lose, knowing that you have a team that knocked you out of the postseason a year ago, in terms of really getting these guys refocused after the regular season?
Yeah, absolutely. In my mind, I've thought about that exact thing, as I think about ways to motivate the kids going into this week, and that's very much on the forefront of my mind, is an opportunity to, beat them this time, and we're at our place. So, absolutely, that's definitely the way we'll approach it, and I think we're healthy. Last year, I'm not sure at any point where we were very healthy. We're a year older, a year stronger, and we're going to be pretty healthy by that time next Friday. So I do feel like we can be very competitive and definitely have an opportunity to win the football game.
And, Coach, when you look ahead to tomorrow night in terms of weather, and it seems like it's just been raining, for the better part of 2 weeks here, but do you approach anything differently in a game like potentially could be in the wet tomorrow night?
Yeah. Funny you mentioned that. I'm driving home in the rain right now. Yeah, we've practiced with wet balls all week. We'll have coaches go up and just spray the center's hand, just soak it so that his hand is wet, the ball is wet. Quarterback's throwing wet balls. We went over, obviously we have turf, but we went over and practiced in the grass. It didn't rain a lot during the week when the grass wasn't really that wet, but, we tried to simulate it as much as we possibly can. But I think the biggest key is just trying to deal with trying to snap a wet ball and catch a wet ball and throw a wet ball.
All right, Coach, when you look at this conference, the ACAC, and it's been dominated by Adams Central and South Adams in recent years, but before that it was Woodlan up top back-to-back seasons. When you try to make the trek back up the standings, and you guys have moved in the positive direction from last year to this year, what's the next step? How do you break through that glass ceiling to start, putting a scare into the South Adamses and the Adams Centrals atop the league? What's that next step you guys need to reach?
I think we probably need to be undefeated going into those games. It's not overall, but undefeated in the conference. And we were 3-1 going into South Adams this year. I think that's really it. We have to be playing great football across the board. Maybe be more competitive than we were this year and last year. They've got to see a more dominant team on film consistently before, they're going to take it super seriously. I mean, Grant Mosher was complimentary. He's like, I can tell the different team, it's going in the right direction. So that's always nice to hear from coaches in the conference. And I would say that, a lot of the head coaches in this conference is kind of a tight-knit group. We kind of mess with each other and I think support each other really well. So I really appreciated him saying that. Because no matter what, it's really hard when you don't win. Or I was disappointed with how things went last week. I thought we'd play better. But to have him say that was, definitely it picked me up a little bit, got me going back on track for this week.
Tough one for Woodlan tomorrow night at Monroe, taking on Adams Central. But Woodlan definitely going in the right direction under second-year coach Mike Smith. Coach, I appreciate it. Be careful heading home in the rain. Good luck tomorrow. Good luck in the postseason. We'll catch up with you.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me.
All right, buddy. That was Coach Mike Smith. Woodland Warriors, his team 3-5, started out 0-3, got 3 straight wins. That win against Bluffton in Week 4 was really an eye-opener, considering how Jake Snyder played in that game. Junior quarterback, 30 of 36, 391 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, rushed for 2 additional touchdowns, and that was really an eye-opener, not just for Jake Snyder, but also with the Woodland Warriors. Followed that up with routes of Southern Wells and Jay County to get to 3-3, but the last couple weeks falling hard at home against both Culver Academy, South Adams, and tomorrow Adams Central is going to be most difficult. But Woodland gets a rematch, like I said, with Prairie Heights. They will try to get their first sectional win or postseason win of any kind, ladies and gentlemen, since 2017. That team, of course, got to the state championship game, had South Ridge on the ropes in the fourth quarter, let it slip away, lost 15-14 in the state championship game down at Lucas Oil Stadium. Woodland has not won a single postseason game since that 15-14 semi-state win at Eastbrook way back in 2017. We will see next week if Woodland can end that losing streak in the playoffs. We're going to take a break, come back. We'll talk to another coach that's guiding a fledgling program, but it was a big week last week as Bellmont got off the schneid with a 26-game losing streak that came to an end. We'll talk all about it with Bellmont head coach Nick Hall after the break. You're listening to the High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Get the latest knife info from the area's premier knife shop. Follow Blademans on Facebook and Instagram today and get the latest on what's happening at Blademans Knife Shop at the shops of Scott Road.
Hello, this is Mark, the owner of Blademans Knife Shop. I'd like to personally invite you out to the store to check out the area's best selection of quality knives. We carry Benchmade, Hogue, ProTech, Microtech, Emerson knives, Zero Tolerance, and many more. We have the best selection of premium knives anywhere within 100 miles of Fort Wayne. So come in and check out our great selection and have a cup of coffee on me.
Before you experience the world-class quality in store, see fresh inventory updates and limited time specials at the Blademans Facebook page. Some inventory, unique colors and new styles, only stay in stock for a day or two. So be in the know and update your knife collection the smart way. Follow Blademans today. As always, 10% discount for police and military and on-site sharpening service. Join the community of premium blade buffs at Blademans Facebook and Instagram today.
Indiana veterans, if you or a fellow veteran needs financial assistance for food, housing, medical expenses, or other basic needs, help is available. The Military Family Relief Fund offers Indiana veterans up to $2,500 in aid. Just visit in.gov/DVA or call 800-400-4520. You served our country. Now, the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs is here to serve you through the Military Family Relief Fund.
It doesn't take a brain surgeon to know ticks suck. But what you might not know is that they don't just suck blood way out in the woods. Those creepy little bugs can be anywhere, all year long. And I do mean little. They can be smaller than the head of a pin. But big trouble comes in these small, gross packages. Even a tiny tick can make you super sick. So what's the most important tip to avoid getting bit? Well, duh, pay attention. Remember, ticks can be just about anywhere outdoors. Then, spray attention with an EPA-registered insect repellent. Wearing long socks and other protective clothing is a good idea, too. When you come back inside, shower. And always remember, check for ticks everywhere. And if you do get a tick bite, don't panic. Tell an adult. And visit ticksuck.org to learn how to remove it properly. Ticks suck, but being outdoors shouldn't. Go to ticksuck.org for more information. Ticksuck.org
Here's more from the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan at 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everyone. High School Coaches Show here. I'm Justin Kenny. He is John Graham, here for another about 20 minutes or so. Talking area high school football will give way to National Fox Sports Radio at the top of the hour, but give it an hour, and then we'll have complete coverage Thursday night football, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Philadelphia Eagles. Coming up tomorrow night, it is the 1380 The Fan game of the week. It'll be the Snyder Panthers at the Bishop Luers Knights for the SAC Championship, effectively 7 o'clock kickoff. You know, a team that gave Bishop Luers a game here several years ago was Bellmont. And was winless in the regular season, got back-to-back wins against Garrett and Concordia in the sectional, and then battled Luers tough in the sectional championship. That, interestingly, that 28-21 win over Concordia the week before was the last victory for Bellmont until last week, where the Belmont Braves were able to get a 42-34 victory over the DeKalb Barons at home. It ended a 26-game losing streak for Bellmont. And the head coach of the Braves is Coach Nick Hall, who joins us right now. Coach, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Not bad, Coach. And, congratulations are in order. It was 26 games. It probably felt a heck of a lot more to you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it felt like a really long time because I was still on the staff then whenever we beat Concordia there in 18. So, yeah, it's been a long time coming.
And you're a Belmont lifer, alma mater, coming back to the school. I feel good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, yeah. I consider myself a Belmont guy through and through, I graduated from Belmont. I never plan on leaving Belmont. And that was one of the things I talked with the AD whenever he hired me last year. I plan on sticking around for a while and getting this thing turned around. So hopefully we're moving in the right direction now.
Yeah, most definitely. And, how difficult is it when you take a team over that, has been it's been difficult to get wins, but as soon as 2015, it was a 10-win season and a sectional championship. So it hasn't been that long since Belmont has been competitive. But, did you look at it and say this is going to be a long trek to get back to where Belmont used to be?
It is I'd say 4 or 5 year process, and everyone knows that. But the kids I have here now, they want to win now. Everyone wants to win. So we're taking it one game at a time, 1 week at a time. And these kids that I have in here now, especially these seniors, that was their first win they've had. They've never won. They were freshmen back in 18. They weren't playing. So that was pretty cool for them to get to experience that. And, I'm super happy for those kids, especially those seniors. So, but yeah, we still have a long way to go. And like you said, it hasn't been that long since we have been successful. 2015, that's only been, 5-6 years ago. I think some people forget about that. But like I've told people in the past, Belmont football has their ups and downs. We're good, then we go down, then we're good, and like a roller coaster. I think we're on that rise here right now. So.
Yeah, most definitely. Coach, take us back last week. It was a back and forth game with DeKalb and being able to close it out late. You mentioned those seniors that get their first win. Give us a description of the atmosphere around the football field and around that, and particularly in that locker room post game.
It was great. So it was senior night, it was youth night, so the stands were packed. The kids came out. We scored 2 touchdowns on a defensive touchdown and special teams. Had a big turnover. We punched in 2 plays later, and we're up 14-0, minute 14 of the game. So that was a huge momentum swing there right from the beginning. And we were talking before, let's put 4 quarters together. And, we put 4 quarters together in special teams, offense, defense. We came out firing there on offense in the first half. And I think we put up 35 in the first half, maybe 35-28 or 35-21 at halftime. And you could tell those kids at halftime they were ready to close it out. They were hungry for a win. It was awesome to see. We won the game. Like you said, 28 tries. It was awesome to see there at the end, and when that final play was over, all those students rushing the field, all the little kids rushing the field. It was pretty awesome. All those people excited about Belmont football again. And that was one of my main goals, to get people in the community excited about Belmont football again. That's something I've really been trying to do. My staff's been trying. The kids on the team have been trying. The youth coaches, middle school, everyone's been trying to get people excited about Belmont football again. I think, we're heading in the right direction. So.
Yeah, I would say, what better night to get your first win in a while than youth night when all the future Braves are there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That was awesome for them to see. I think that was important for them to see, Bellmont football can win. And like I told our team all summer, all season, we're going to win, guys. And when we do win, it's going to be a special, special thing. And I thought it was really cool for those younger guys to get to experience that, that were watching the game. And, that was pretty special for everybody.
Coach, you mentioned, the senior group, and it's a good mix of some upperclassmen, but also some youth, and, a little on those guys, because is it Ullman's your quarterback? And I think Bodkins is a pretty solid rusher for you, and he's a junior. So a little about your personnel and kind of the guys that have stepped up for you.
Yeah, so John Ullman's my quarterback. He's a senior. This is his second year under center. He's a 3-year varsity player. I have two seniors on my offensive line. I rotate in the sophomore. The other three on the offensive line are sophomores, and my sophomore I rotate in. So at times I'm playing 4 sophomores on my O line. I have a junior running back in Isaac Bodkins. Jameson Rumpel and Isaiah Thatcher are my 2 slot backs. They're both seniors, and they've really come into their own here the last couple of weeks. Aiden Ford, the junior, who rotates in there at slot with them. Kobe Baker, Trevor Walker on the outside. They're both seniors. I rotate in a sophomore out there, Joe Hoffman. We have some experience, but we're actually very young. And there's times we have 6, 7 sophomores on the field on offense. Defense is the same way. Our core guys on defense, they're sophomores and juniors. And they fly around, they play hard. My D-line, I had sophomore Dylan Velez, Cole Mendez, have a senior Brice, who's our one of our captains as well. Aiden Miller is a sophomore. He stepped in the role here the last few weeks as an outside linebacker. Aiden Ford, my middle linebacker, who also plays offense. Keegan Martin, middle linebacker, he's a sophomore. Cole Mendez is also playing some linebacker. It's a lot of sophomores and seniors that are playing. So that's a good thing. So a lot of guys come back next year. So.
He is Coach Nick Hall, Bellmont Braves, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. And Coach, I know you always preach to the kids to stay positive and all that, but it's a little bit different after a week coming off a win. So have you noticed a little bit more of a spring in their step from this team this week?
Oh, absolutely. They have a lot of confidence right now. And doing it last week, we were missing 4 starters. So we have those 4 guys coming back this week against East Noble. I mean, just the way they're carrying themselves through school. I mean, they have a lot of confidence walking around. And I keep telling my guys, it's good to be confident, not cocky though.
Yeah.
You can't be cocky. I mean, it's one win. I'm glad you get some confidence, but let's still stay humble and keep working hard and get that second victory. So.
And, Coach, you look at it, you get East Noble this week, and that's a team that's trying to find itself as it has to prep for Leo. But you also potentially, will then get a rematch in Week 10 against Oak Hill, the same team that knocked you out of the playoffs a year ago. So do you kind of sell it with these kids as, hey, we got shut out back-to-back games to end the season a year ago. Here we are facing the same 2 teams. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, East Noble, they're East Noble. Coach Ansett does a heck of a job up there, those guys. I mean, every year they're competitive. They're competing for a conference championship. So, I mean, they're going to be coming out guns a-blazing every game they're playing. We have Oak Hill first round. They shut us out last year, 28-0, but it was 0-0 at halftime last year. We kind of let one slip away from us, I thought, last year in that first round. But I think one thing that our conference does for us, we play a pretty tough conference for the size of our school. I mean, we're playing all 4A schools. So we get into postseason play. We're finally playing some schools that are our size. So that really helps us. But again, Oak Hill's a very, very well-coached team. They'll be ready to play. They'll have a good game plan. So they'll be ready to go. We'll be ready to go. Hopefully it's a pretty good matchup.
Coach, when you look at the schedule, and you've played Adams Central and South Adams every season except for last year since 2014. That's a difficult non-conference, my friend. I mean, weeks 1 and 2, brother, playing those Adams County schools, that's difficult. You don't want to necessarily duck them, but at the same time, man, either one or the other is a state title contender of recently.
Yeah. Football in Adams County, it's historically pretty good.
Yeah.
AC South Adams, they have some good tradition dating back to a long time. And we've been playing AC South Adams week 1 and week 2, since 14, like you said. And they're top 5 teams in 1A. Seems like every year. And Coach Mosier, Coach Mosier on South Adams, Coach Mosier at AC, they both do a heck of a job with their teams. But yeah, we have a pretty tough non-conference. Then we go into conference. It's a meet and grind every week. There's no off weeks in our scheduling. So we have it ready every week.
It's tough, but Coach, what do you want to see out of your group tomorrow night? You get a win, you get the monkey off your back, so to speak. Win or lose, what do you want to see from your group at Kendallville tomorrow?
I just want to see us keep improving, and I think that's something that we've done each week. And that's what we tell our guys: get better each week. Take it one game at a time. Every day, win the day. So I just want to see us get better. We come out with victory. Hopefully that's what happens. But I just want to see us get better and keep improving and keep moving Bellmont football in the right direction.
All right, brother. Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot for joining us. Congratulations on that win. I'm sure it's the first of many for Coach Nick Hall.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, buddy. That was Coach Nick Hall, Bellmont Braves, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. We're going to take a break. We'll come back to wrap it up. This is the Week 9 edition of the High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Fort Wayne's newest morning show, Two Pros and a Cup of Joe, with LeVar Arrington, Brady Quinn, and Jonas Knox.
People are now like, John Gruden wasn't a good coach. We're going to act like he didn't win a Super Bowl, like he wasn't successful as a coach.
OJ was a terrible football player, too,
well, they tried to say that he inherited the team that Tony Dungy built.
The team Tony Dungy couldn't win with.
Two Pros and a Cup of Joe, every weekday morning from 6 to 9, only on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Home improvement is daunting. These days, finding a business who checks all your boxes for materials, quality of work, warranty, and price can feel like a never-ending scavenger hunt. Alliance Exteriors is here to make your unique home improvement journey easier for you. Alliance Exteriors specializes in metal and shingle roofing, siding, windows, and patios. Alliance Exteriors promises to be your partners for life. From the time a team member arrives at your door to assess your home to years after the job is complete with our best in the business lifetime warranties. Plus, all Alliance Exteriors jobs are done properly by licensed professionals so your warranty sticks. We invite you to look around at different companies. Alliance Exteriors is confident that after comparing quality of materials, quality of work, warranty, and price, you will give us a call. Contact us today at 260-908-5465. Check out our Facebook or visit AllianceExteriorsIN.com to schedule your free, no-pressure estimate. At Alliance Exteriors, we are your partners for life.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Every 6 minutes, a utility line is damaged by reckless digging. So Indiana relies on 811 superheroes like Steve the plumber.
I contact 811 before I do my work.
Mary the gardener.
Before I plant a tree, I contact 811.
And Mike the landscaper.
I dig for a living, but always contact 811.
Prevent damages or injury. Call 811 or go online. 811now.com.
Sponsored by the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, this station, and the Indiana Broadcasters Association.
Now back to the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back. Final time here on the High School Coaches Show. I am Justin Kenny. He is John Graham producing here for just a couple more minutes. And, of course, the big game coming up tomorrow night that you can hear on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. It is Snyder at Bishop Luers. Undefeated Luers, one-loss Snyder. The SAC victory bell on the line for the championship. Bishop Luers trying to win it for the first time since 2014. First time outright since 2011 with a win. Snyder won this matchup last year and has won 25 of the 29 all-time meetings between these two. Panthers have won 4 straight in the series, and Coach Kyle Lindsey has never beaten Snyder as a coach. So remember that. Interesting couple stats there. When you look at this matchup tomorrow night, it's very interesting because the forecast has it being wet, whether it's raining during the game or it rains leading up to the game. The fact of the matter is Luers Field will probably not be dry tomorrow evening. And it being a natural surface and being grass, what does that do? When you look at Bishop Luers and the precision and the speed and athleticism that they're able to employ, does this cause a problem for Bishop Luers? And an interesting conversation that me and Brett Rump were having here before this show was, would it benefit Bishop Luers if this game was at Spuller Stadium, if it was a Snyder home game? And then conversely, is Snyder happy that this game is not a home game? Are they happy to go to Luers Field and play on grass and wet grass and slippery and maybe neutralize a little bit of the playmaking abilities for some of those Bishop Luers players, and, you know, really try to grind it out with Tyrese Brown and that offensive front and really try to make this a grind it out type football game? I think you can do that easier on Luers Field's grass than you can Spuller Stadium's turf. So that's kind of an interesting dichotomy between these two teams is probably each of them would rather be playing at the other one's field tomorrow night if it is indeed pretty wet. I really think this game tomorrow night comes down to the receivers of Bishop Luers against the secondary and the linebackers of Snyder. When you're looking at those receivers for Bishop Luers with Brody Glenn and Antoine Lake and Jaden Hill, and also you throw in like a Braden McInturf and the return of Aiden Dennis and Sir Hale out of the backfield and Dennis in the slot, that's a lot of guys that can beat you, and Snyder's going to have to defend those guys. If they can get a push up front, Dom Moon, if they can bring him off the edge, Markel Keel, maybe they're dropping Dom in some coverage packages. I thought Bishop DeWenger did a good job a couple weeks ago in terms of showing different stunts and coverages to really confuse Carson Clark, and in the end Clark was able to make the plays, but he never really looked comfortable throughout that entire game based on the various looks that Bishop DeWenger was throwing at him. I expect similar out of the Snyder defense tomorrow night. Pre-snap showing a lot of different schemes and movements and stunts and bringing pressure from this, that, or the other, really trying to keep that Luers offense off balance. I expect to see that. And, if Snyder can get that running game going as it has the majority of the season, then maybe he can play a little keep away with Bishop Luers tomorrow night at Luers Field. If you're not able to get out to the south side of town tomorrow at the campus of Bishop Luers to check out that game, you can listen to it here with Brett Rump and Shannon Griffith with all the action at 7 o'clock here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. That's going to do it for us here. Thank you to Brice Vance, KPC Media Group, joining us. Thank you to Coach Mike Smith, Woodland Warriors, Coach Nick Hall, Bellmont Braves. That'll wrap it up for this week. We'll be back next week. We'll talk sectionals as they get started in the state of Indiana next Friday night. Thanks, everybody. For John Graham, I am Justin Kenny. This has been the High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Thanks for listening. Station of 1380 The Fan, the high school coaches show with Justin Kenny on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Download the podcast at 1380thefan.com or wherever you get podcasts. Broadcasting live from the Masters Heating and Cooling Studios, this is WKJG 1380 AM, 100.9 FM, Fort Wayne, Indiana. The Fan.
3 a.m. Pacific on Fox Sports Radio. Saturday on Fox. Join Reggie Bush, Coach Stoops, and the rest of the Big Noon Kickoff crew as they preview the day's biggest college football matchups. Then stick around for the Big Noon Saturday matchup. It all begins at 10 a.m. Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app.
Podcasts by Federated Media.